Hello friends, welcome to the first of many videos about Alpha 13 modding. To start off, we are going to do a quick, not too in-depth, but decently overviewish look at the UI itself. So as we know, the UI is the user interface. It's what we see on the screen all around us. So we've got different regions. I'm going to go here like this so I can highlight. So we've got left-hand corner HUD bars. We've got right-hand corner where things appear as you harvest them. You've got your tool belt. You've got your compass. You've got multiple windows. So each kind of interface window is its own setup. So this is your backpacks. You've got your crafting table. You've got your examine window. You've got your inventory window, and you've got your crafting output queues. You also got a buff area here. And then as you go through each one of these, you'll get different windows that appear with different blocks in them. Now, we also have, just as an example, I want to show you some changes. You can look here. You see, for example, here we've got a forge window with a certain window set up. We've got your list of crafting recipes, your info window, your tools, your fuel, your input and your output, your inventory, and your crafting queue as well, and your tool belt shows up here as well. And you notice here, just as an example, just to keep an eye on it, we've got a 2x3 matrix there. We're going to be changing that. So right now, there's still a lot of unknowns about what we can do and can't do. I'm going to quick jump here to a modded version. All right, this is a modded version of the UI. So as you can see, colors are different. The outlines and backgrounds of the tool belt, the compass on top, the text appearing down the bottom left-hand corner, and also if you go in here, different background colors, different, just kind of different highlight colors and everything. Just kind of a different feel, kind of a I think a warmer feel, actually. I kind of like the color I picked here for this stuff. Also, well, let's look at the forge. Output queue has got 6 items. And just to show you that it actually does work, I'm going to go ahead and make, see, we've got a glass jar we can make. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can make some nails. So this way it'll pop to the next row, just to show you that it does actually continue to work. So 1 second and boom, nails. So we actually do have a 3x3 output queue. And we've got room. We could probably get another row in there if we needed to. Or we could make the input queue bigger, which will be interesting to see. Okay, now to show you guys how all this happens. Again, this is a first look after just a few hours of playing the game. So I'm going to go ahead and quit out of 7 Days to Die. And we're going to be going just into our Steam text files. So into our 7 Days to Die text files. So wherever you've got Steam installed, or 7 Days to Die in Steam, Steam apps, your common, your 7 Days to Die mod. I always have a copy of 7 Days to Die that I use for modding, so I don't break my original copy. I actually have it installed in a completely different drive. So in your data directory, your config directory. So there are some new XML files, which I'm going to do another video kind of going over all of them. And you've got a new folder in here called XUI, and you've got an XUI XML file. I've got these already open in my favorite text editor, which is Notepad++. So here we go. So this XUI XML file controls the windows themselves. So all of the actual windows. So that is an overarching set of items. So they can also be a sub-window. So window crafting list also exists as a separate window that has different parts to it, and we can see that in the Windows list, which is in this XUI folder. So these are window groups. So think of these as the whole UI for that particular action. Now you've got controllers, which I think are bound into the game itself. This is how it knows how to interact with things. So this has 3 windows in it: the crafting list, the info panel, and the crafting queue. The character window has the character frame window, which is the left-hand side area, the buff, player stats, and active buffs windows. And kind of same here. So window fuel, window output. So Forge and Campfire have the same, kind of inputs, outputs, etc. Now these individual windows are defined in this XUI. We've got controls, styles, and windows. So I've got controls, styles, and windows. So Windows output, just as an example, so if we look back to our XUI, we have window output. So that corresponds to the Windows directory or Windows file. We've got an item, a window item that's defined. We've got window output. We've got a height and a width, or if I say things correctly, a width and a height, where it gets anchored. Now, this is actually not the default height. I have added height to this because the default height was this minus 76. I added one extra because I wasn't sure how much padding or how much I needed around it. So your grid, so this panel has got two panels on it. It's got the top part, which is the header, and then it's got a content area. So the header has a certain style, header panel. Okay, so header panel, this style is defined in this styles XML. So if I go over to styles XML and I look for header panel, I now see this. So I've got some style entries. I've got a name, header, a height. Depth is not your height of it or anything. It's the position. I think it's the Z position as things get stacked. So 1 is the base level, 2 would go on top of, etc. So the sprite sits on top of that background. Okay, and it's got a background sprite image on it, and it's got a style entry of header. So if I go up to here, up to the very top, we can find some other header definitions. Oops. These are all the header icons. So all the header bits, window icon, window name. Now, what I wanted to show, so we've got that window now with a header panel and the content itself. So the panel content consists of a grid, okay, an inventory grid it defaults to 2 rows, 3 columns. So I went ahead and changed that to 3, and we could probably go to 4. So if we went to 4, by default the cell width is 75 and the height is 75 for those grids. So I would need to add, I added 76 rather than 75. So I would go in here and I would make this 304 would be my new height for that. Okay, so let's just save this and let's go in the game and see if that works. Okay, so here we are. Let's look at, and yes, we now have 4 output rows, so 12 output items if we really wanted that much output. So that is a change that you could make if you decide to do such a thing. All right, let's go back to the editor. All right, I'm actually going to undo that because I think 12 is overkill. Let's undo those. Perfect. Okay. So this has got a controller workstation output group. So this tells the game where to, this controller tells it like, oh, when you output something, put it into this. So this grid is important. So that's a window. So all the windows, like here's the input as well. So we've got 2 rows, 1 column for the input grid. All right. So here we could make this 3 rows, and we could, the only thing I'm looking at here is it might do something, well, it's got empty 3 pixel sprite for that background. No, we should be fine. Should be fine. Now, you'll notice, I'll point this out, colors are defined this way for the most part. Now, when they're defined like this, what they're doing is they're calling a variable. All right, and these variables are defined in the styles XML. So everything with a style of black, it's not actually the color black, it's just a variable named black. All right. Oh, I'll have to play with this later on when I get a little more modding. I had tried earlier to adjust the materials accepted in the forge input in the blocks XML file. There's an exact same list in there, and I'm wondering if I add it in here at the same time I add it in the blocks XML, if it'll actually work. Because before it was throwing me a array index error. So I'll try adding it in both places. When I get to that part of the modding testing, I'll try that out. I hadn't noticed that before. Okay, so I was going to show you guys the styles. So styles are the easiest way to control things right now. You can take things out. I have been having issues trying to resize anything or to move blocks around, and that's something that we'll have to play with a little bit. And we have to. It's going to take some time to find out exactly what values are allowed. I mean, even if you can change a value, does not mean that it's going to work. So that is going to be interesting to check these out. So you've got your HUD left stat bars. So this is your left-hand stat bar, and you've got a couple things in here. You've got your buff pop out list. Okay, you've got and then you've got these two stat bars here and here, and you've also got a grid of 2. So I believe, and here's where it comes down to finding out the specific names of things. So I think that you've got food is another item. I believe that core temp should be an item, but when I tried that one, I was getting an error as well. And then you've got things like in the buffs file, you can kind of go in here and see them a little bit. So you've got food is an item, water is an item. So remember how we used to have food and water showing up? Well, let's see if we can replicate that in here and actually have those appear back in our stat bar. So give me 1 second, we'll be right back. All right, and as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, I now have a food bar. So there's a couple things that you have to do to make that show up. And you can see there's a few little glitchy bugs like that. The second area needs to be moved up a little bit where it has the active buffs. So you've got your stats, you got your active buffs, and you've got your temporary status messages, those 3 areas. So let's go back and look at this again. I'll show you what I did in order to get that to show up. So in this, you're in the Windows XML, so this is one of the windows. I went ahead and I duplicated one of these stat bar blocks, and I just changed the stat type to food. Now, I think it just automatically lowercases it, so you've got food and water, and you could look in the stat in the buffs and look for other things that show up. Speed modifier, you might be able to put that in as an item. Health, stamina. Core temp shows up, but let's try it one more time. I was getting errors, but let me try it one more time just to see if I can make it happen. Oh, and as you can see, that core temp does not show up. So that is like a stat you can't directly, at least yet, access. All right, so we'll go back to just having food there. So everything else here is pretty straightforward. Now, the only thing you got to do is the container itself has a position of, looks like 9 pixels over to the right. It looks like bottom left-hand corner is 0, 0 in the coordinate system. Okay, so 9 pixels X, and then it was, before it was, let's see if we can go back here, 98 pixels up. So 9 over and 98 pixels up. So like, right about yay-ish is where it started. So when I extended it to 3 rows, that 3rd row appeared off the edge of the screen because it was down here. So I went ahead and I just added basically this plus 1, because I always add 1 to things. and that moved me up high enough that that third one now showed up. But like we saw, the second element did not, so this buff pop-out list, that did not show up. So we would need to add as well, we would need to add 43 or 44 to this number as well, because we want that to appear a little higher as well. So you have to really play with these and really kind of think through all your sizing as you run along. And it's going to be a lot of start, stop type of things. So let's go ahead and get rid of this other one, because I actually like the fact that it's just got the 2 right now. All right, so there is basics of the HUD. You got your right-hand side as well. And then you've got your paging header, crafting list. So this is your crafting list. So you could go ahead through here, your headers, your content area. So this is your content area, your search tool, and then all your recipes, your recipes list here. And again, you've got your width and height for all those kind of things. So you got 12 rows in your recipes. You could shorten your recipe list down. You can move things around if you want to. There's going to be a lot. I mean, a lot of moving around that you'll have to play with to see how it all works. But all these windows are accessible to you now. Now, the last thing I'll show you guys is the styles XML. Now, this is where I see probably a lot of themes coming out for 7 Days to Die, where they just change the color themes of the game, because that's definitely going to be the easiest thing to change globally and quickly without breaking anything, without a lot of futzing around. So they have a lot of named colors: lime green, tan, border color, dark gray, medium gray, all those kind of things. So these colors are then called in on the controls. So here we've got white, okay, the text itself. Background color for the search, black. Selection color, medium gray, half alpha. White, 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 white. So all those colors are variables that are defined in this styles XML file. Okay. Now in the styles XML, again, these colors are defined, these global colors are defined here in this top area. And these are RGBA values. So red, green, blue, alpha. So all you need to do is bring up, let me pull over here, a nice little colorpicker.com. You can go there if you've got Photoshop or you've got paint.net, something tool like that that'll give you RGB values, then you're good to go. So this is just the color picker. It gives you HTML colors, or it would give you RGB values. So you can just pick a color. Let's pick a lovely red. Okay, so this color 247, 52, 62. So we'll go over here to this white. I've duplicated my whites and blacks. So I'm going to change what was white before. I'm going to change to this color. So this is going to be 247, 52, 62. Now, you don't need the fourth value. The fourth value is alpha. Alpha is transparency. So 0 means it's 100% transparent, and 255 means it is solid. Okay? So we'll leave it as white like that. I'm going to save this file, and I'll relaunch the game. And as you can now see, everything that is styled in red. Now, sprites don't always, as you can tell in those stat bars, we can actually change those, I think, as well. But all the things that were white or marked as a white color are now that red color. So you can really change the look and feel of things from a stylistic standpoint relatively easily. Let's go ahead back into that file. Now, so 2 ways you go about it. You can either modify an existing named variable. Okay, and to me, that's probably the easiest way to, when you're testing things out. The second way, and that way is, well, sorry, is that way is, well, all you have to do is trade the styles XML file. You don't have to change or trade anything else other than that styles XML. Or you go into the Windows and Controls, and you can go through all of these, and everywhere it's got something we could put in, you know, Rongo Green. Okay, so Rongo Green, we would then go over here and we could define a new color called Rongo Green. And that Rongo Green color would be 32, 128, 72. So that would be a new color that I've defined. And then I could apply it to the count control input selection color, whatever that is. So again, you have to play around to find out where exactly this color is being shown. So obviously I'm not going to leave it like that. All right. So I think that's a good first kind of look. Obviously, a lot of research needs to be done by the modding community to find the actual values. For example, when I tried to change in the XUI, I wanted to move the compass to the bottom. I did that, and it still didn't show up. It still showed up at the top. So I would need to go into the window compass. Window. Okay. And figure it out. Because it doesn't have a position specified here. I assume this position is relative to the object itself. But it did not play well. Where is that closing sprite going? Interesting. This indicates a closing tag, or you can do it like this. Either way works in XML. So anyway, I was unable to move the compass to the bottom. I'm still going to play with that and see if I can get that to happen, and move the tool belt somewhere else, or play around with those things. So many things to experiment with, but I hope at least for a start that gives you guys an idea. And if you got, like I said, if you want to experiment with things, the easiest place to start off will be the styles XML file, which once again is in your 7 days to die data config XUI. That styles XML file, that is your premier place to affect the overall color of the game. And I'll put it back to that blue color because I like that blue effect. All right, guys, if you guys like that, if you guys have comments or suggestions, or if you discover something about the modding, let me know in the comments below, because I can't learn it all by myself. I need you guys to help me experiment as well. So I hate it when it's not organized and pretty. You should see my code. I get anal about it sometimes. All right, for now, it's been RongoTheBold. Click the like button, leave me some comments, tell your friends, your family, and your grandma, and let's get self-smarted together. Bye-bye.